The city is set to hold the next Legislative Council election on December 7th.
This reflects society's concern over the matter. These concerns deserve serious attention.
Chief Executive John Lee responds for the first time amid snowballing controversies over CK Hutchison's sale of its Panama Canal ports. And details of the public healthcare fee adjustment plan are expected to be reviewed this month. Good evening. You are watching Cable News. I'm Evelyn Bai. Chief Executive John Lee announced that the city's 8th legislative election will take place on December 7th, while a by-election for the election committee subsectors will be held earlier on September 7th. Cheryl Yun reports.
To ensure the smooth conduct of 2 elections, the city chief has instructed the Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Bureau to make full preparations and contingency plans in various areas, including publicity work, recruitment and training of election staff, vote counting, data systems, and security. The goal is to guarantee that the elections are conducted fairly, transparently, orderly and efficiently, selecting a new cohort of Legislative Council members who are patriotic, capable and responsible, Lee said. The 7th Legislative Council with 90 lawmakers will complete its 4-year term by the end of the year. Ahead of the poll, 90 vacancies among the 1,500-strong election committee needed to be filled, as currently there are only 967 elected members and others nominated, as well as ex officio members. Nominees for the by-election can participate in the nominations and voting for the Legislative Council elections within the election committee subsectors. This marks the 2nd revamped LegCo election under a Patriots-only electoral overhaul in 2021. Details of the nomination period and arrangement of the 2 polls will be announced in due course. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
Chief Executive John Lee said the extensive social concerns raised over CK Hutchison's sale of its Panama Canal ports deserve serious attention, and called on foreign governments to ensure a fair and just environment for all enterprises. Jeremy Zhu reports.
The city chief broke his silence days after CK Hutchison, one of the largest conglomerates in the city, was caught embroiled in controversies over its decision to sell its Panama Canal ports.
We oppose the abusive use of coercion or bullying tactics in international economic and trade relations. Third, any transaction must comply with the legal and regulatory requirements. Hong Kong will handle it in accordance with the law and regulations.
He did not elaborate on which specific laws would be considered, though. The remarks followed Hutchison's announcement earlier this month that it is selling its ports operations to a consortium led by U.S. investment firm BlackRock in a deal worth $23 billion. The Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office and the Liaison Office have since raised questions about whether the transaction adequately considers national interests. Meanwhile, Bloomberg reports that mainland authorities, including the State Administration for Market Regulation, are assessing whether the potential sale could pose risks to national security or violate anti-monopoly laws. Neither CK Hutchison nor BlackRock has commented on the matter. CK Hutchison and CK Asset are set to announce their year-end results on Thursday. Both companies confirmed they will not hold press conferences or analyst meetings this year, deviating from their past practice. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
Separately, the city chief said the upcoming review of fees and charges for public health services is not about cutting expenditure, but rather optimizing the use of resources as part of a broader structural healthcare reform. Cheryl Yun reports.
A fee shake-up is expected in the city's public hospitals following adjustments made 8 years ago in 2017 that raised the fees for accident and emergency services from $100 to $180. As patients may soon have to face higher medical bills, concerns have emerged about potential delays in medical attention and rising fees in private hospitals. Speaking to reporters ahead of the Executive Council meeting, the city chief emphasized that the review was conducted under 3 principles and was not intended to cut expenditure.
We shall spend no less money, just to readjust the spending distribution for the sake of efficiency and effectiveness. Second, priority should be given to the most needed. These include helping those with economic difficulties and those cases in which the patient suffers from emergency, the most serious and critical illnesses. Third, reduced waste of resources, including drugs and services waste.
Lee has urged the Health Bureau to finalize the review as soon as possible and announce the specifics by the end of this month. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
Hong Kongers should expect to brace for 5 to 8 typhoons edging close to the city this year, while this coming typhoon season may be longer than usual as well. Jeremy Zhu tells us more.
Last year, the city's average temperature hit a record high of 24.8 degrees Celsius. This year, the observatory expects temperatures to remain above normal, with rainfall close to the average, ranging between 2,100 and 2,700 millimeters. Regarding typhoons, which Hong Kongers may be more concerned, the season could begin in June or earlier and extend beyond October. Around 5 to 8 tropical cyclones are expected to enter within 500 kilometers of Hong Kong, which is normal to above normal. Observatory Director Chan Pak-wai explained that while the central and western equatorial Pacific is returning to normal temperatures, the western Pacific remains unusually warm, leading to relatively more typhoons this summer. Chan also highlighted that the observatory's artificial intelligence system can help predict typhoon paths, noting that AI has a higher detection success rate, with fewer false alarms or missed forecasts compared to traditional models. That said, AI still struggles to accurately predict typhoon intensity. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
5 students from a North Point primary school are suspected to have contracted acute gastroenteritis caused by norovirus after participating in an exchange trip to Xi'an. SKH St. Michael's Primary School informed parents about the incident, noting that from last Tuesday to Thursday, 63 primary 5 students joined the exchange trip to the mainland city. The school stated that on the final day of the trip, 3 students already felt unwell, showing symptoms such as vomiting. By yesterday, 5 students in the same class had taken sick leave after experiencing similar symptoms over the weekend. 3 students had recovered by today. The school has reported the case to the Department of Health and disinfected the entire campus. Whether the infections are linked to the exchange trip is under investigation by the authorities. As Israel-Hamas negotiations for a second phase ceasefire remain stalled, Israel has launched its first airstrike on the Gaza Strip since the initial ceasefire expired on March 1st, with at least 200 deaths reported. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue military pressure to force Hamas to release all hostages. Jeremy Zhu has more details.
Fires have erupted across Gaza, with buildings collapsing after artillery strikes. Over 20 Israeli fighter jets were seen flying over the area, followed by multiple explosions. The Israeli military confirmed large-scale airstrikes on Hamas targets in Khan Yunis, Rafah, Gaza City, and so on, including strikes on schools reportedly used as shelters. Reports indicate people are trapped under rubble, with many casualties rushed to hospitals by ambulances. Prime Minister Netanyahu accused Hamas of refusing to release hostages and rejecting proposals from U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and other mediators. Meanwhile, Hamas condemned Israel for violating the ceasefire, accusing it of escalating the conflict and endangering hostages, while calling for third parties and the UN to intervene. The White House stated Israel consulted the Trump administration before the strikes. During the truce between January and March, Israel released around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners in exchange for Hamas freeing 38 hostages and the remains of 4 deceased hostages. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
A small plane crashed into the sea shortly after taking off from Roatan Island in Honduras, killing at least 7 people. Following the crash, rescue teams retrieved injured passengers from the water and rushed them to nearby hospital. Local authorities have reported that adverse conditions have complicated the research and rescue efforts. The aircraft, which was carrying 14 passengers and 3 crew members, was en route to La Ceiba on the north coast of Honduras before losing control. Among the passengers were a U.S. national, a French national, and 2 children. In response, Honduran President Xiomara Castro has set up an emergency operations committee to assist the victims. The cause of the accident is still under investigation. Now, let's take a look at the stock markets. The Hang Seng Index ended the day up 595 points. Top active stocks of the day. Alibaba was up $7.90. Tencent was up $16.50. Meituan was up $2.20, and SMIC was up $2.15. Mainland's technology titan Xiaomi reported better than expected fourth quarter and full year results. Adjusted profit for the last quarter surged nearly 70% year-on-year, beating market expectations with 8.31 billion Chinese yuan, with net profit up 90%. Revenue exceeded $100 billion for the first time and rose 48% to 109 billion yuan, also beating expectations. For the year 2024, adjusted profit and revenue both reached new highs, up 41% and 35% respectively, while overall gross margin declined slightly to 20.9%. In terms of segment revenue, smartphone business and IoT and life product business accounting for 333.2 billion yuan, marking a jump of nearly 23%. Electric vehicle innovation business accounting for $32.8 billion, with a gross margin of 18.5% and adjusted net loss of $6.2 billion. The group also raised its car delivery target to 350,000 units this year. Hong Kong's jobless rate takes slightly higher to the highest level in almost 2 years. According to the Census and Statistics Department, the seasonally adjusted unemployment rate increased from 3.1% in the 3-month period ending January to 3.2% for the period of December last year to February. This increase meant 1,600 more people were in unemployment status, amounting to around 111,700 jobless persons. The underemployment rate remained unchanged at 1.1%. Commenting on the latest figures, Labor and Welfare Secretary Chris Sun said the labor market should remain largely stable in the near term amidst continued economic expansion. However, he cautioned that some businesses will be affected by the uncertainties stemming from trade protection measures in the United States. On to the weather now. Cloudy at first and mainly fine afterwards. Cool in the morning with a minimum temperature of about 15 degrees in the urban areas and a couple of degrees lower in the New Territories. Very dry during the day. The maximum temperature will be around 22 degrees. That's our news tonight. I'm Evelyn Bai. Thanks for watching and good night.